I'm meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner, joined by Grant Skinner, and we're going to talk a little bit about daylight saving time. And everybody complains about having to make the change, so it's a topic that people like to talk about, and we're glad you're here watching us. Make sure to like and subscribe. So first of all, let's talk about the fact that it's happening this weekend. So we go back to daylight time from standard time.
That's right. It's this Sunday, so at 2 a.m. we spring forward 1 hour, which means that technically we do lose an hour of sleep, which I think everyone ends up feeling on Sunday because maybe you get up early for church service or any other plans you have on Sunday, and you really feel it because you've typically slept, maybe an 8-hour, overnight, and you got only 7 hours of sleep. You could definitely feel it. And it's definitely an adjustment to make during the overnight hours into Sunday and then even for days after that. But it's still important that we have it for certain reasons. It's also a good reminder to change your batteries in your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors because you want to make sure you do that every once in a while.
Which doesn't really have anything to do with daylight time or standard time.
It's
just a good time. Oh, hey, and also don't forget. And I really think when we spring forward to daylight time, that's when the conversation really gets heated. Oh, like all day we've been talking about, man, we're losing an hour of sleep, blah, 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 blah. But what does that really mean? Everybody says, well, no one wants to lose an hour of sleep. So hold tight with us. We're going to explain what that really means. So we're going to start with the summer solstice, which is the longest day of the year. This year it happens on June 21st. And at that point, we've gone to daylight time. Again, this weekend is when we transition to daylight time. So that means the sun rises at 5:59 on the solstice and it sets at 8:34. Now, if we didn't go to daylight time, we would still be in standard time, which is what happens all winter. And the sun would rise at 4:49 and set at 7:34.
I'm trying to imagine doing the morning show and it being almost 20 minutes past the start of our first show, and the sun's already rising.
That's right, it's blazing up there.
That would be wild. And then, we talked about this. Now at 7:34, we have a 7:34 sunset. It's dark pretty soon after you've left work in the evening. So that can be tough for folks that are, maybe working more that traditional 9 to 5. You get done with work, it's dark pretty soon after. So that's why we have this adjustment made. So sunrise is at 6 a.m., closer to when everyone's commuting to work, and 8:34 for that sunset. Get some more daylight time to end the day.
Yeah, and so, I think when people say, well, I don't want to do this, you have to realize, what does this really mean? I mean, I don't think anybody wants the sun to rise at 4:49 in the morning or set at 7:34, at least in the summertime. So what would happen then on the shortest day of the year, which is the winter solstice, which happens this year on December 21st. At that point, we're in standard time, so we would see the sunrise at 7:20 and the sun sets at 7:04. That's what normally happens. But if we did away with standard time and we were at daylight time all year, then the sun would rise at 8:20 and set at 6:04.
Yeah, 8:20 a.m. would be
late.
Would be very late. People would be, the majority of people's commute to work would be completely in the dark. And then the commute home, the majority of, you'd still have, some darkness time, just like you have during the shortest day of the year, but you've got maybe a little bit more sunlight, but not enough to really make a difference.
Yeah. So, there is a reason why we do make that switch, and it's hard on people. It's research that says, people have more heart attacks, they have more traffic accidents. But when you look at, what affects you, I think it's about 4 months, 5 months. I guess we have 5 months of standard time and 7 months of daylight time. And for me personally, I have to go to bed early anyway.
Yeah.
But I love having the daylight in the evening in the summer. It just really makes a big difference. So people may wonder, why did this happen? So it happened starting in World War I, when they were trying to save energy for the war. And then after that, it really kind of went back and forth. It was not standard in the United States actually until 1966. And then one more little piece of information. In 1974, they decided to do away with standard time and have daylight time all year round. But here was the catch. And so within that same year, 1974, they repealed it and went back to the swap. So we've tried this before, going to daylight time, and it was because of the kids, trying to go to school, in the darkness in the morning at the bus stop. So so they got rid of it.
Quickly realized that it wasn't going to work out.
So, we do have different times, that's kind of complicated. And, just to kind of back up and do some, elementary school science science with everybody.
Yeah.
Why are some of the days longer than others? And of course, it's because the Earth is tilted on its axis and it rotates around the sun.
Yeah.
So this is a graphic that sort of explains that. You can.
It's a big reason why we have seasons, is because of this. This tilt is a huge factor in that. And it causes uneven heating that allows for warming and cooling when we have different parts of the year. But it also means we have more or less sunlight throughout the year. So the summer solstice, of course, that happens at June 21st this year. The Earth is tilted towards the sun, at least the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun. And so with that, we have our longest day and our shortest night. And it's important that we have daylight saving time in order to account for that tilt, account for more daylight that we see.
And then in the winter, of course, it's the opposite.
Yep.
You know, the Earth is on the other side of the sun, so the northern hemisphere is tilted away, so our days are a lot shorter. So one group of people who, let me back up and say, so we didn't have this daylight saving time until I think it was 1918 was the first year that we went to it. If you think about what was happening in this country and around the world before that, we were an agricultural society.
Yeah.
And so it didn't really matter. People weren't always getting up and going to work at 7 a.m. People who were in agricultural societies got up with the sun. The animals got up with the sun. The cows needed to get milked like right at sunrise and at sunset.
Right.
And so they just always lived by the sun, and it didn't matter. Nowadays, you have to be at work at X time, you get off work at X time. It's a totally different society than we had long ago.
Right.
And so that's, again, another reason why we've gone to this, daylight saving time or standard time. And it's this time of year that the days get longer.
Yeah, no, a lot of folks have been, I know whenever I've seen like Chris post and lots of our team have posted about, the days getting longer as we get closer to the summertime, gradually closer to the summer. And look at this, only about 11 and a half hours of sunlight for March 6th, but then you fast forward all the way to April 3rd, you've got almost 14 hours of daylight.
So
and
it happens so fast this
know.
time of year, so it's really exciting. So, I'm getting ready for summertime.
Yes.
I like the long days. I'll editorialize for just a minute. I like the time that, I like switching the time zones because it just makes sense in terms of, the sunrise and sunset times and how you get to maximize your time, not just outside, but in terms of getting to work, getting to school.
Enjoy the sun, enjoy the warmth. It's really nice out.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us again.
Thank you.
Keep checking back on our YouTube channel. Again, like and subscribe, and let us know what you think.